Halloween is not about the candy at our house. It's about fear. Well, not really. Halloween, the way I celebrate the holiday, is about uncertainty. For more than 20 years, the theme, with variations, asks this question: is the dummy real? This year I sat with a dead Furby and a plastic jack-o'-lantern filled with zinnias in front of me on the patio table set away from the sidewalk to the porch. I wore a baggy black suit, tangled gray hair tumbling over my shoulder with a pink bowler hat and a purple flower sticking out of the top. I also had on a slightly creepy mask with sunglasses lenses covering the round eye holes. But anyone could see my nose and mouth, my mustache and beard, if they looked carefully. But in the weak light of our porch, where my wife Dawn was waiting behind the door with a bowl full of candy, and dark shadows everywhere, this is the question I overheard all evening long: is it real? And the frequent response: it's not real. No one counted all the kids last night, plus their parents trailing along. There was candy left over at the end of the night, so maybe there were 100 kids or so, but it wasn't about the candy. I wish I could tell you all of the stories, but so often things happen so fast. You can't even see everything right in front of your face. Kids come and go. You hear voices and many feet kicking through the leaves. I mostly just sat still, off to one side. Sometimes kids would walk by me and not even see me at all. I could see them looking up at the rope spider's web and the inflatable spider closing in on 2 dangling and caught dolls between the front porch pillars. I have all night. And then a kid stops right in front of me. The game of uncertainty begins. I can't see their eyes. They can't see mine. We read each other's body language. All mine says is that maybe something, they don't know what, is sitting just right over there in the shadows. I can see their uncertainty as they pause. Fear is a primal instinct. Without it, my ancestors would not have survived to pass along their genes all the way through millions of generations of humans to me and to these kids. They know in their heads that we are really just playing, mostly. There's the safety net of their parents, other kids all around, ordinary houses with ordinary people, porch lights on. It's just Halloween. One boy, I couldn't quite figure out what his costume was, remembered when he saw me what he had forgotten. I'd added an occasional twist for just this year. Rather than just always sitting entirely motionless, I slowly, mechanically twisted my head from side to side. The kid loudly announced to his 3 friends that I was real and that I had scared him half to death last year. And then his pause announced to me that he suddenly realized that he didn't know for sure what he was looking at this year. I listened to the boys reassuring each other that I was real, as I robotically shook my head no. Uncertainty works on so many levels. Even if they were nearly sure that I was a living, breathing person, the next question was right on its heels waiting for them. Is he safe? But it's just Halloween. Each age of kid that I played with on Halloween night, from parent to toddler, asked those questions in their own way. Each kid asks within his or her own mind for themselves this existential question: who is that? And why am I here? Candy? As for me, I just want to play with their uncertainties. I have my own instincts to play with. In the end, I want these kids to like me 100 times more than I want to scare them. And in the end, this is the game that we play with each other for just one night of the year. It's a simple game, really, but with hopefully just enough uncertainty to make it interesting. A coin flipped sparkles as it spins in the air. A lot of kids from the neighborhood have played this game before. They know my face and name in the light of day. But uncertainty is well woven into the web of reality, and not just on this one night. In the darkness, rustling leaves all around, kids think that they know what they know, and then I catch the loose thread of their imagination. Human instincts fire faster than our good sense. I just watch and wait. This is why I came to this house on this night of all nights. To see them, to hear them, to give them something to remember as they will give me something to remember. After our instincts, that is what we are after all, and an accumulation of our memories. We can't hope to hold on to all of them for long, but a tickling of our instincts is what sometimes makes us feel alive. The brave young man and his friends made it up onto the porch. I heard them consulting with my wife about my possible reality, and when they came back down to my level, I was still shaking my head back and forth. They began to dare each other to go over and touch me. Soon one of their parents, standing back along the sidewalk, double-dog dared them. Some of the kids began a chant, "Touch it, touch it." I watched and waited. One boy, dressed in black, did step slowly towards my table. He eventually reached out his hand and touched the flowers, then jumped back. Another came around the back and touched my shoulder as he skipped by. I waited. Reality was wavering. We had nearly fully entered primal territory. All Hallows' Eve. Everyone, even me, knew in their heads that this was just a game. Everyone that's old enough to see me breathe. But misdirection is how illusion works. And so quickly you forget what you knew just a second ago. And they all had very ancient and nearly forgotten primal minds, pulling at the corners of their uncertainty. The boy who knew when he first saw me was hesitating just a few steps out of my reach. Uncertainty had hovered and gathered for several minutes now. And then I pounced, only standing half up out of my chair with a sharp growl. Before he could even think, the brave boy turned and yelled, "That's it!" tossing his full bag of candy high into the air and hurrying away. One of his friends came and retrieved the bag, and then they all shuffled off through the leaves, telling each other what they thought had just happened. They had been an appreciative audience in the end. I have been doing this for a long time. I prepare some. I've learned that when it comes to actions, that less is more, and silence is louder than people think. I watch and wait, and then I wait a little longer, and then even I don't know what is going to happen next. Suddenly I am the one in primal territory. We're all creatures tumbling and tickling, shuffling. I laugh without thinking. Someone screams high into the night, and the next moment a little girl is laughing with me. I could tell you stories, but it's not the same as living life. But here's one more story. Later in the evening, a young woman and a little girl approached from across the lawn. The young woman, in the light of day, is my neighbor. The little girl was holding on to her as they walked carefully across the grass, stopping finally, still 20 or 25 feet away. I called out. The young woman, so apparently from Wonderland, said that she was Alice, and the little girl was Cinderella. and in the half-darkness, none of us could really see each other very well. Uncertainty was in the air. I waited, but not too long this time. And then I raised one gloved hand slowly into the air and waved. In an instant, before she could even think, Cinderella dashed back to the driveway. And then she slowly came back to where Alice still stood. Together they came nearly to where I was sitting, but well out of reach. This time I took off my mask, and Cinderella looked into my eyes. Who did she see? Then Cinderella told me that she lived on the next street over. Alice had explained that Cinderella had come over to their house to help hand out candy. It's Halloween night. And then there were more kids coming, and I put my mask back on to watch and wait. Not every day or every night, but sometimes we live for the unexpected. A little fear reminds us that reality can be scary, but hopefully we also learn to face our fears and live with our instincts. And sometimes surprise is a gift from the universe. If we can live with uncertainty, life can be joyful, if a little crazy sometimes. The night had grown quiet, and after we finally turned off the porch light, my wife and I walked up the street. I knew our friends had gotten York peppermint patties to give out, but it wasn't about the candy. After David let me and Dawn in the back door, their daughter, home working on a thesis, laughed when she saw me in my gray wig and a pink hat. I could clearly see her eyes, and then as I bit into a piece of candy, we sat together on the sofa. She told me that she could still remember being scared to go onto my porch on a Halloween night roughly 20 years ago. These memories are a little bit of who we are. And I have already forgotten much of what happened on this Halloween. When I sit out on my lawn, I try to see every kid, knowing that I can't. Everything happens too fast. I go with my instincts. Every year, the kids manage to surprise me. Halloween, after all, is about uncertainty. And the next day there is candy left over for all the saints and the sinners, and more kids being born into daylight every year. Here's the question: is love real? And following on its heels, is love worth the risk, uncertainty, and surprise?